Welcome back again, my friend, to the Diaries of June. It's good to be back recording, and it's good to have you here with me. This episode, I'm recording from my tiny apartment in San Francisco. Specifically from my tiny closet in my tiny apartment. I had to make a trip back here for work, and I'm already missing Orchid Island. Spunky is too. There are definitely more squirrels back in New York than there are here in California. But don't worry, dear listener, I brought Nana June's diary to San Francisco with me. And I have an amazing entry to share with you today. Our theme is the family you choose. Have you ever spent a magical day with your best friends? The kind of day where the weather is a perfect 75 degrees and there's not a cloud in the sky. The kind of day you remember decades later. That one that always comes to mind whenever someone asks you about your happiest memories. Nana June wrote about a day like that back in 1926. A day she spent with her best friends, Jack and Amelia. You know Jack, of course. He's our devilishly handsome pilot from episode 2. I was wondering if he and Nana June kept in touch after the war, and I was so happy to see his name pop up again in this entry. But we haven't yet come across Nana June's friend Amelia Dumas, so allow me to introduce her. From what I've read so far, apparently Amelia was an artist living in Paris. In the 1920s, no less. How romantic does that sound? I get the sense that she was something of a struggling artist. That Nana June thought she was super talented and wrote a lot about how gorgeous her work was. There might even be an Amelia Dumas original somewhere in the estate. I'll have to look. Well, whenever I go back. No paintings hidden in the diary, but I did find an old photograph of Amelia and Nana June pasted into the pages. They look like they're at a party, both wearing these fabulous flapper dresses and adorable little fascinators, and hugging each other with the biggest smiles. They even have matching haircuts, only Nana June wore hers straight, and Amelia wore hers in finger waves. I can almost imagine them getting ready for a night on the town, can't you? Nana June helping with the finger waves in the back that Amelia can't quite reach. Each trying on the other's shoes and dresses, swapping purses and earrings. Maybe even giggling about a handsome pilot who's on his way to meet them. It's funny, isn't it? To realize that our great-grandparents were once young. They partied and drank and giggled with their best friends. But that's what I love about this diary. Let's go back now and join Nana June on her adventure in Prague with Amelia and Jack. September 9, 1926. Dear Diary, it's getting late as I sit to write this entry, but I just couldn't wait until morning. I was afraid to lose to dreams the details of this wonderful day. For the first time in what seems like ages, I spent the day relaxing with Jack and Amelia. Each of us have been working long hours and rarely do our schedules overlap, never mind our locales. But in a perfect stroke of luck, both Jack and Amelia found themselves attending appointments in Prague during the same week. Jack to inquire about publishing some of his poetry, and Amelia to paint a commission of the Charles Bridge. Amelia rang and begged me to come meet them. Prague is a historical marvel, she gushed over the phone. Simply wonderful, you must see it. It wasn't the first time she'd called from some exciting location to invite me along, but this time, I was able to join in the fun. Between jobs and feeling restless for adventure, I told Amelia I would be there before the end of the week. As I stretched my legs on the last leg of the journey, from Berlin to Prague by way of train, I marveled at the green countryside passing by. Not 10 years ago, the view out the window would have been a very different one. A ruined landscape of mud and artillery, smoke perpetually hanging in the air. I felt immeasurably lucky to be traveling in leisure on my way to meet friends, rather than in my nurse's uniform on my way to meet the battlefield. As the train pulled in to Prague's central station, I caught sight of someone in a familiar flight suit standing on the platform. Diary, let no one spill your secrets, but I admit my heart might have fluttered. Would Jack always have that effect on me? It didn't seem to matter how long we'd gone without seeing each other. One look at his carefree grin, and I couldn't help grinning myself. Jack caught sight of me and started waving as the train slowed to a stop. Hopefully, my grinning wasn't as foolish looking as it felt as I waved back. My hands might have trembled as I gathered my luggage, but if anyone asks, Diary, it was certainly because of the long journey and had nothing at all to do with the fall of Jack's hair over his brow. There's a sight for sore eyes, Jack greeted me as I stepped off the train. He wrapped me into a hug, luggage and all. And again, Diary, I'll attribute my weak knees to the adjustment of being on solid ground after so long and swaying a train trip. Certainly, it had nothing to do with his cologne. The same scent he'd been wearing for as long as I'd known him. Like cedar and spring. I inquired about Amelia, who, Jack told me, was out painting Charles Bridge. Up before sunrise to catch the light, he said, shaking his head. Waking up before the sun had always been, and apparently continued to be, a pursuit Jack never could quite wrap his head around. Jack was to gather me and show me to the hotel to drop off my luggage. After which, we'd meet Amelia at the bridge. We made our way to the hotel where Jack and Amelia had each booked a room, chattering gaily all the while. Jack had been hard at work on his book of poetry and was hoping to catch the eye of an independent publisher. I marveled at it, myself barely able to string together a rhyme for cat, let alone a book of rhymes. I told Jack as much, and he seemed to take great pleasure in teasing me. Not all poetry has to rhyme, June, he said with a wink. I could feel my cheeks flush, so I turned our attention to the architecture. Fortunately, Prague is famous for its historic construction, and there was plenty to distract from my rosy visage. Our hotel was tucked down a quaint alley in Old Town, rising tall from the cobblestone, one in a row of colorful buildings like so many pastel teeth. Your key, madame, Jack said, affecting a snooty accent and brandishing a key to Amelia's room. I curtsied without thinking and immediately felt embarrassed. But luckily, Jack was too embarrassed himself to notice. He blushed all the way to his roots, and I couldn't help but think how handsome he looked in red. Once unburdened by suitcases and hat boxes, the number of which Jack also took great pleasure in teasing me about, we made the short walk from Old Town to Charles Bridge. Jack pointed out old buildings here and there, already seemingly well-versed in the sights Prague had to offer. As we passed through the main square, an enormous clock tower caught my eye, sporting 3 faces, a dizzying array of hands, and delicate figures gilded in gold. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I stopped in my tracks, so taken by the intricacy of it. Jack followed my gaze and nodded, smiling. The astronomical clock, he said. It's the 3rd oldest in the world. Dates back to 1410. 1410, diary. I was gobsmacked. Over 500 years later, not only was the clock still standing, but it was perfectly operational. I checked my pocket watch, hardly believing, but the astronomical clock was accurate to the minute. In addition to the time, Jack told me, the clock was measuring the positions of the sun, moon, and stars. And it's cursed, too, he said with another wink. Supposedly, if this clock ever runs down, the whole city is doomed to bad luck. I laughed, assuming he was telling tall tales, but a passerby overheard and confirmed Jack's story. Yes, said the passerby, who to my ear sounded German. See that skeletal statue there? If ever you see it nodding, the city has fallen. Had the day been gray, I might have felt spooked by the legend. But old clocks chimed brightly in the late summer sun, and the city was thriving. Vendors rolled their carts up and down the cobblestone, shouting in Czech, German, Russian. Jack flagged down one such vendor and purchased 3 delicious-looking cone-shaped pastries. I can't for the life of me pronounce whatever these are called, he told me, handing me a parcel that smelled of cinnamon and sugar. But they're the best breakfast this side of the Vltava River. And probably the other side of it, too. He was right, diary. Whatever these confections are called, I'm making a point of it to have another before I leave Prague. Never have I tasted a bread that both bounces and melts in the mouth in such a pleasing rush of flavor. But don't tell Mrs. Talbot, whose pancakes will always hold a place in my heart, even if usurped from the top spot. Or, rather, usurped, if you'll allow a pancake pun. I will always allow a pancake pun, Nana June. Too cute. We spotted Amelia at the near end of Charles Bridge, deep in concentration over her canvas. As she painted, a small band of street musicians serenaded passers-by in exchange for a few Czech crowns. The whole scene, with Charles Bridge stretching long and strong before us beneath the blue sky, was something of itself a painting. Whether Amelia was happier to receive me or a pastry, I couldn't tell. The pastries are truly that delicious. Either way, she leapt from her easel at the sight of us and rushed over for a hug. I don't even care if I cover you in paint, darling, Amelia exclaimed. It's been too long. She was in her element, making art abroad, and the glow of happiness she exuded was contagious. It felt so good to see her and Jack both thriving. In the decade we'd been friends, I'd seen them both at their lows, as they'd seen me at mine. To share a blissful day in Prague, brought together by good fortune for once. Forgive me for misting, diary, but I was swept with such gratitude. Stood there on Charles Bridge with my closest companions. Even writing about it now lifts me up. Amelia's painting was coming along beautifully, but she was keen to take a pause and see the sights. Arm in arm, she and I walked along the length of Charles Bridge, while Jack pointed out the various Baroque statues lining the wall. I've seen my share of bridges around the world, but none quite like this one. With all its silent sentries framed against a backdrop of perfect blue sky. Did you know, darling, Amelia asked me, that this bridge dates back to the 15th century? Isn't it marvelous? I hadn't known, and it was indeed marvelous. But it paled in comparison to the castle looming over the lesser quarter on the far side of the bridge. We spent a good part of the afternoon just walking the cobblestoned hills and taking in the sights. The sun was setting, and Amelia had heard of an absenterie in Old Town. Not like in Paris, mind you, she whispered theatrically. But the glasses are clean and the booze is green. That was all we needed to make our way back across Charles Bridge. In the candlelit glow of the absenterie, Amelia regaled us with stories of her current artistic patron, a well-to-do Parisian socialite with an affection for fine architecture. You wouldn't believe her flat, she gushed. I've never seen so much tulle and lace in one living room, and 3 crystal chandeliers just in the foyer alone. Meanwhile, Jack seemed to be catching the eyes of the young women huddled in duos and trios around cocktail tables. I could see them trying to be coy, but their absinthe-infused giggling gave them away. Jack didn't seem to notice. In fact, whenever I looked, he seemed to be looking at me. Or maybe that was just my wishful thinking after a few visits from the Green Fairy. We drank, gossiped, and laughed long into the evening. I can't remember a time that I felt happier than with my 2 favorite traveling companions, sat cozy in a far-off tavern, surrounded by the music of half a dozen different languages. Oh, diary, maybe it all sounds ordinary, sightseeing, food, drink, but to me, it was an extraordinary day. To quote Mr. Wilde, I adore simple pleasures. And today was simply a pleasure. It sounds extraordinary to me too, Nana June. It's been way too long since I've traveled. Or gone to a restaurant. Or hugged a friend. But after that entry, it almost feels like I've taken a vicarious vacation to 1920s Prague. I'll let you in on a little secret, listener. I want to travel so badly. I want to drink absinthe in Prague, eat croissants in Paris, take a river cruise on the Danube at night. I want to see mountains bigger than skyscrapers. And jungles with tree canopies so thick the sun can only peek through in foggy beams. Besides going back and forth between San Francisco and Orchid Island, I really haven't seen much of the world. When I was younger, I couldn't afford it, and now I work too much to travel. That's another reason I love reading this diary. Nana June is inspiring me to be more adventurous. I have a feeling I might finally book that dream trip one of these days. All it takes is a willing attitude, right? I also have a feeling that this won't be the last we hear about Jack. And I'm all aboard the June Jack train. What do you think? Does it sound like love is in the air? I hope so. Well, before I hang up my headphones, I thought I'd give you an update on something I mentioned a couple of episodes ago. Remember Nana June's newbie coworker, the one who fainted? Well, I was so inspired by her patience and compassion in that entry that I decided to try the Nana June method with my own coworker. And wouldn't you know it, listener, it worked. My coworker opened up to me about some difficult things they're going through at home right now, and it completely changed my perspective. I was so frustrated with them before. But when I found out what was really going on, all of that just melted away. As we talked through things, I realized how far even just a drop of empathy can go. Things have been going a lot better at work ever since, and I have Nana June to thank for it. Anyway, I hope you don't mind me sharing that. And if Nana June has similarly inspired you, please feel free to share it with me. I'd love to hear from you. So for next time, I found an absolutely enthralling entry. It's from 1912, and in it, Nana June attends a rally for women's voting rights. It's amazing to read about her standing with the suffragettes, fighting for something so important. And I can't wait to share it with you. I hope you're as excited as I am, my June crew. Stay tuned.
This has been June's Journey, The Lost Diaries from Wooga. You can step into June Parker's shoes and become the detective herself in June's Journey, the #1 hidden object game in the world. Live the glamorous 1930s life as you journey around the world, finding hidden objects, adventure, and even a little romance. Download June's Journey for free on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Thanks for listening.